There's a great book out there that I suggest you read. It's called The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. Outstanding book, but the whole book is worth buying just for the first page. Really, even the first sentence. The first sentence is life is difficult. Okay, we all have things in our life that make life difficult. Our work, school, whatever it is that brings you down. Let's lay that to the side and let's talk about college football. Let's try to have a little fun. Let's talk about college football. Try to have a little fun on the show we call 3rd and 21.
Welcome to 3rd and 21, a show where we talk about college football and try to have a little fun. Where we talk about college football and try to have a little fun. Now back to you, Kemper.
Absolutely right. Hey, listen, when you look at the ACC from a 30,000-foot standpoint, this is Clemson's world. Okay, everybody else is just living in it. But I'll say this, there's only one great team, that's Clemson, but there's a lot of really good teams in this conference. I would say this, where is the team that you can just roll your helmet out and expect to win, like you can against Oregon State or Kansas? I love you, Kansas. But you can come with your C game and win those. What about Syracuse? You mean the team that beat Clemson last year, that took LSU down to the wire at night in Baton Rouge, or had Miami on the ropes? Now, they didn't win the last two of those games, but they are a quality team, and they got a really gutty quarterback that I like. Next up is Wake Forest. Dave Clawson's coming into his 5th year. They have the 2nd best offensive line in the whole conference. They are terrific. They're big, and they're going to do some good things. Defense got 6 players coming back. They're going to be a good team. They've got Notre Dame in their 4th game, so that's going to be a fun one to watch. You can be a really good team in this league and come in down here. I do have, all of my computer models do have Wake Forest getting to a bowl game this year, though. Next up, we got NC State, and I think NC State is a little bit like Oklahoma State in that last year was a year for them. That was their year. They had so much talent on defense. This year, they've got to replace almost their whole defense. They've got 3 returning starters. Now, they do got a good quarterback coming back. His name's Finley. But I think NC State's going to make it to a bowl, be a good team, but I think they're going to look back on last year and be, man, why didn't we do more? Next up is Louisville, and everybody remembers the great Sherbot song of the mid-'90s, Do You Believe in Love?
Do you believe in life after love?
Right, well, we got to change the words up a little bit. Do you believe in life after Lamar? Because no school relied on one player more than Louisville did last year with Lamar Jackson, for good reason. Outstanding all-world player, but it almost was like Louisville would just step back and go, hey, let Lamar take care of this. Well, they can't do that again this year. They do got a good quarterback coming out. His name is Jawan Pass. But here, if you are a Louisville fan, here's a good stat for you. Coach Petrino has coached 14 years in either the SEC West or the ACC Atlantic. All right, those are 2 pretty good divisions. 14 years. 13 years, he's won 8 games or more. The only year he didn't was his first year at Arkansas, where he won 7. Petrino wins games. So Louisville's in good shape, definitely getting to a bowl. Next up, I've got Florida State. Listen, you're always going to have athletes at Florida State. Willie Taggart is coming in, first-year head coach, changing the style, changing the culture, bringing back athletes, really embracing what Florida State was. So I think Florida State is on the rise. If you're buying stock, you still got to pay a pretty good premium just for the name. But I would be buying. I think Willie Taggart is going to raise the level up, get the athletes in. But the offensive line last year was horrible. I mean, it really was embarrassingly bad getting pushed back. And they go from a pro-style offense to a spread and tempo. So major changes coming, but the arrow's pointing up for Florida State. Next, I've got my number 1 surprise team in all the country, Boston College. Coach Adazio is doing great things up there. They're returning 10 starters on offense, 6 on defense. The defense last year got better and better and better as the year went by, and they're returning a lot of starters, putting in some better players from the guys who did leave. So number one surprise team, Boston College. They are going to be a difficult out. One of my computer models has them winning 11 games. Boston College, number one surprise team in all of college football. But this is Clemson's land. Clemson has problems just like everybody else, but Clemson has problems that are different than everybody else's. What Clemson's problem is how am I going to get all my NFL caliber defensive linemen on the field? Which one of my 5-star receivers am I going to throw? Which quarterback is going to throw to it? Because they've got so many. Defense is loaded. Offense is loaded. And here is what I like about Clemson. Don't forget, it was just 5 years ago that they got trucked by West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. Lost 70-21, I think it was, 70-21. Since that time, Coach Debo has just said, you know what, we're going to get better, we're going to get better. And they've gotten better all the way up into a legitimate national title contender. So it's Clemson's land. Everybody else is just living in it. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down the crazy Coastal Division. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's break down the crazy Coastal Division. This is the division where these teams can go any which way. We'll start with UNC. This is Fedora's 7th year. Last year they were a very disappointing 3-9. But when you look at it, there was one point where there were 14 players that were hurt. That's hard for any team to come back with. But there's still a lot of questions on the direction of this. They do play California the first game. It's going to be a barometer test for both schools on how their season's going to go. First week, Carolina versus California. Next up, I've got the Wahoo University of Virginia Cavaliers. Bronco Mendenhall is their coach, and he always gets the most out of his players. Did a terrific job getting them to a bowl last year, and they returned 8 of their defensive starters. Things looking good in Charlottesville. Next up, I've got Pitt. The Pitt Panthers. One of my favorite things from the season last year, Pitt had nothing to play for. They weren't going to a bowl. They were 4-7. Number 2, Miami, rolls in with all the momentum. When they were coming off the field at halftime, Pat Narduzzi, the coach, said, we will win this game. We're going to win this game. And they upset number 2, Miami. Pretty cool scene. They do play Penn State in a game that needs to be played every year. And they don't play a game that needs to be played every year. The backyard brawl with the University of West Virginia, they need to work that out. Pitt and West Virginia need to play every single year. Next up, I have got Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, we're coming into Fuente's 3rd year. That's usually where you see the most improvement in the team is in the 3rd year. They've got a really good quarterback, Jackson, and the defense is led by Bud Foster, so you know they're going to have some hard-hitting, physical defensive players. You don't want to play at Virginia Tech at night. Next up, I've got Duke. And usually when you think of Duke, you think of really smart players. You think of guys who's 2-star guys who are in the right position. Cutcliffe gets them in the right position. Their defense is full of all-American talent. They've got a linebacker, Joe Giles Harris, who is one of the best linebackers in the country. Their secondary is loaded with athletes. Duke is going to win games based on their defense. Next up, I've got Georgia Tech, and this is pretty high cotton for Tech. But here is a factoid for you. The last 3 times Georgia Tech has missed a bowl, the year after that, they come back with a monster year. They've got a returning senior quarterback who knows the system. They've got a deep and experienced offensive line. And when that offense gets rolling, it's hard to stop. Georgia Tech, most of my computer models have them coming in 2nd in this division. But if you want the odds-on favorite is the U. Their defense is going to be outstanding, shutdown type outstanding. The only question there is their quarterback. Can he not be a turnover machine? Can he play the way Mark Richt likes his quarterbacks to play? That's not make mistakes and change the play into a good play. If he can do that, these guys have an outside shot at making the college football playoffs. Hey, listen, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to go to the ever-popular mailbag. That's where you can ask me any question about college football. I'll do my level best to answer. Don't go anywhere.
One time or another, most of us will need an MRI or CT scan. Jane went to a hospital. Kate is getting the exact same scan at American Health Imaging. Jane scheduled hers months ago. Kate, just yesterday. Jane's been here for hours. Kate's already finished. Jane's MRI will cost about $2,500. Kate will pay about $600. Poor Jane. Your health, your money, your choice. Make your appointment.
Yes, American Health Imaging. You know what it is by now. It's your health. It's your money. It's your choice. AmericanHealthImaging.com. Hey, let's go to the ever-popular mailbag. That's when you can write in, ask me any question about college football. I will do my level best to give you a clear and concise answer. First question.
Joshua from Chapel Hill asked, how do you feel about Larry Fedora's comments on ACC Media Day?
Yeah, anytime you go against the established narrative, you're going to get pushback. That's what it is. I think he might have got a little ahead of himself. But, when I was looking and listening to people, everybody was like, oh, he's crazy. But he kind of has a point. So I understand where he was going, but I think he went too far. Next question.
Ellen Galloway from Atlanta, Georgia. First, she said she's a big fan of this show.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you.
Her question is, who's going to start first week at Florida State for quarterback?
Florida State quarterback. Listen, if Francois is back he got hurt, of course, in the first game against Alabama, he should be the starter. But I've not heard anything coming out of Tallahassee about, him being ahead of schedule or, him playing. So I just don't hear a whole bunch of it. If it's Blackman, hopefully he's put on some weight, because when I see that guy, every time I think of a toothpick. So, next question.
This is actually not a question. This is a statement from Charles Miner from Syracuse. He says, when you say clear and concise answer, it's actually clear and concise answer.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Concise answer?
I'm not an English teacher.
Not an English. Who is this? Charles. Well,
Miner.
thank you for watching, Charles Miner from Syracuse.
Yeah.
Thank you for your concise statement. Listen, we're going to put a wrap on it. Please like, share, subscribe. Next week, we're going to break down the emperor of all conferences, the SEC. Have a blessed week.